Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to stand on all protocols observed and welcome each and every one of you as an invaluable contributor to the maritime industry of South Africa. Today is indeed a historical and momentous day in the proud and illustrious history of South Africa's maritime economy. In fact, I believe that the South African maritime industry has been given a major shot in the arm today with the implementation and establishment of the Maritime Industry Development Task Force Network. It's a long name. We'll have to find an acronym for it. And I'll find Carl Wiesner, Admiral Carl Wiesner, who is very good for finding acronyms. The Maritime Industry Development Task Force Network is spearheaded by the private sector and supported by the Department of Transport in a bold and exciting new initiative that is expected to unleash the true potential of the country's multi-billion rand ocean economy. I'm very honored to be called to serve as the inaugural president of the network, with industry champions that are sitting with me, Lindani Mtulu as first vice president, Masiswane, and Captain Makosi Mkazi as second vice president. We are so fortunate that we are having this launch in this world-class KZN cruise terminal today, which is a sterling example of what a successful public-private partnership by Transnet, MSC, and the Africa Armada Consortium. We are grateful for the attendance and support of the Department of Transport, represented by the Chief Director, Mrs. Dumasani Mtuli, and Engineer Dumasani Ikize from Transnet. Without the Department of Transport support, without Transnet support, any initiative in the maritime sector is a non-starter. And gentlemen, we are so grateful for your presence and support from the bottom of our hearts. This is the first time in the history of the maritime sector that a government-supported initiative is being led by the private sector with the collaborative aim of cutting the red tape and realizing the South African government's dream of creating 1 million new jobs and unlocking 177 billion rand of GDP through the maritime sector via the National Development Plan under Operation Kakisa and the Comprehensive Transport Maritime Policy. Our beloved President Cyril Ramaphosa, has said that stronger partnerships need to be forged between government and the private sector as part of a plan to strengthen the public sector. To quote our president, partnerships is what help to resolve many of our problems. We see great value in working with the private sector. There is a great deal of value to be extracted when there is collaboration between private sector and public sector, unquote. One cannot deny that the maritime transport is an integral enabler of the South African economy, as 90% of goods that come in and out of this country comes via our oceans. In fact, if you ever wanted to sabotage the country, block off the maritime trading routes to stop importation of crude oil and or petrol and diesel, and this country will come to a standstill. It therefore becomes critical that our maritime economy not only survives, but thrives. There has been many attempts to kickstart the ocean economy, including Operation Kakisa, the Comprehensive Maritime Transport Policy, the Ocean Economies Master Plan, and the African Maritime Charter. All these initiatives were characterized by one common thread. They were led by government, with private sector participation at varying degrees. Due to changes in leadership within government, changes in managers, adherence to bureaucratic and stifling governance procedures, progress on these matters has either been frustratingly slow and, in some cases, zero achievement has been made. The private sector views this as another string of broken promises by government. As a result, stakeholder commitment and enthusiasm for initiatives, especially from the private sector, has dwindled. There is no more trust and belief that the government has the ability to unlock the ocean's economy on its own. This initiative, however, is very, very different. We have heeded the call of the President of the Republic of South Africa and used a public-private partnership model to help strengthen the implementations of policies and plans that are so desperately needed by the people of South Africa. This is private sector driven, but supported by the government, with the Department of Transport acting as the secretariat for this network. The word network in task force, the chosen very, very deliberately. The network, the word network, underscores the cooperative and collaborative nature of the undertaking. We need to work closely together to leverage each other's strength and resources for the mutual benefit of all the stakeholders within the maritime value chain. Task force means we are very task-orientated. We will identify tasks that are impediments to the growth and efficiency of the maritime economy and ensure solutions are implemented on time and within reasonable costs. Time and costs will be the drivers of the relationship between the private sector and the government, with clear goals and objectives being set to ensure that all the investments made by the private sector yield tangible results. The private sector, however, has their part to play as well. For now, we call the private sector to do just two things. The first is, and to put it very crudely, put your money where your mouth is. Don't just complain. Provide solutions and invest, and we as a task force will ensure that government policy is implemented and an enabling environment is created for your investments to succeed. Number two, what we call the private sector to do is to please embrace the transformation imperatives that a developing country like South Africa needs. We have a high level of unemployment and inequality. We have low skills levels. We have many unemployed graduates. We have many small businesses that desperately need the support of the maritime industry. Remember, for your businesses to grow and thrive, you need more consumers. And that basically means more people need to earn an income through employment or entrepreneurial activities. For your businesses to increase in profitability, it needs to become super efficient, and that needs an investment in the skills levels of your current employees and your future employees. The current global uncertainty has brought an abundance of economic opportunities for South Africa. However, we as a country have not been able to take advantage of these opportunities. We are not ready. Take, for example, the huge shortage of various commodities due to the Ukraine and Russian war. If our transport networks were in place, we could have easily stepped in and filled the void. We have lost out billions of dollars in potential GDP and hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenues to the fiscus. So government has to realize that by always wanting to take charge, it is losing billions of dollars in GDP and tax revenue, and not alleviating the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Rather, we call on government to play a supportive role and create the enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. Business needs to realize as well that they can't just complain from the sidelines. They need to be actively involved and work in a cooperative and collaborative manner with all stakeholders within the maritime value chain. And yes, this sometimes means working together with your competitors. But it's for the greater good, for the common good. When I see a Lindsay Nabi and Amsol sign next to each other, it tells me competitors can work together. Because a rising tide will lift all boats. There's a time for competition and there's a time for cooperation. Part of the network's mission would be to remove the silo mentality prevalent in the maritime industry. This mentality of turf protection, self-interest, and egos is not what this economy, this sector, this country needs to reach its full potential. When I first entered the ship repair, shipbuilding industry, I often heard people say that this industry cannot support 3 shipyards in Durban, only 2. They then spent all the time bad-mouthing and fighting each other in order to shut each other down. This energy could have been better used, more productively used to grow the industry and capture more export orders through closer cooperation and collaboration. Each shipyard has certain unique strengths that could have been leveraged for mutual benefit and the greater good. Until today, this practice of fighting, gossiping, backstabbing still prevails within our industry. And unfortunately, this industry, as a result, has declined to a shadow of its former self. The biggest victims have been the people who have lost their jobs and the small businesses who had to close down, not the shareholders of this business and not the executives. However, I'm an eternal optimist. I believe this trend can be reversed if the industry comes together within platforms and networks like this and works together in a cooperative and collaborative manner for the greater good. We cannot just continue to pay lip service year in and year out. We cannot be insane by doing the same things and expecting new results. Let's try and be creative and let's try to be innovative and take new approaches. You know, there's a saying, to achieve something that hasn't been achieved before, we need to do things that haven't been done before. And as a task force, we have begun this new and exciting journey. We call upon every stakeholder in the maritime value chain to join us and, more importantly, support us in this journey. There is power in numbers, and generally power achieves success. I know my keynote address may not be entirely politically correct or called hard-hitting, as some said, and I shared my notes with them. But being politically correct and apologetic does not feed hungry mouths in South Africa, or it doesn't free our people from the indignity of poverty and unemployment. It's positive actions taken by an entire network of people that will free us from the shackles of this indignity suffered by our people. That is why we are a task force. So off to work we go. Thank you.